All right, welcome to another episode of Trends You Cannot Ignore. Our guest today is Chris Brogan, somebody I like to call a friend. I've known Chris for a long time. He's also the president of Chris Brogan Media, where he offers brands digital content strategy as well as business strategy. He's a sought after keynote speaker like all of us used to be. And he's also the showrunner of a show I've been on called The Backpack Show. He's a New York Times bestselling author of about 9 books now or so, including a new one he is working on his 10th called The Backpack. Maybe we can get him to give us a little treat on that. So, Chris, thanks for joining us.
John, anytime I could be in your presence, I'm so happy. I'm happy you have all these other people, but you and I could do this over an ice cream. I'd be just as cheery.
Yeah, I miss that we can't get together for like lunches at really terrible diners or something like that, in cities, here and there. So this is mostly about trends, and gosh, last year was quite a trend year, huh? So what's the biggest takeaway for you from 2020? Like, what came out of that for you?
So 2020, besides being horrendous for like everybody I know, there's so few people that came out the other side going, man, I kicked it. But 2020 was the year of I told you so, and nobody wanted to say it out loud. It was, for how many years have we said you got to digitize? You've got to at least have a basic website set up. You've got to have some small amount of your web functionality ready to go in case something, you need a customer who's not across the counter from you.
Yeah.
And, you and I both love small business, love mom and pops. And everywhere I went, I ran into a lot of, I was brought into this project up in Canada, and it was massive how much of like Main Street was not digitized in any way. So sub shops, they call them donaire shops up there, nail places, pawn shops, anything you could imagine on the street had no digital presence, hardly at all, or like a 1990s circa website. And so the biggest change, I think, is that not only do we have to learn how to operate remotely and all that, we really had to commit to kind of digitizing how we operate, no matter what size business. Even a company of one, you had to get a little bit better than that little cardboard, business card at the grocery store.
Well, no question. I mean, but here's the money question in that. Then, like, a lot of the new thing was touchless contact. You can get quotes now with this. You can pick up your product now without touching. You can do a full order. I mean, is touchless going to stay, you think?
I'm trying to think of reasons why I'd want it back. There's a few, like if I were going to buy a bicycle, I might like have someone put it together for me, because that is not a skill I possess and I have no patience. So I would totally mess up the drive chain, for instance. So, I mean, there's some spots where that's important. Haircuts, we need to have someone there with their fingers running through our loving locks so they can get a few pieces off of it. But, there's a lot of businesses where, like, I'll give you an example right in my little town. I have a little place. It's a cantina, which up in northern Massachusetts is funny because it's like really delicious Mexican flavoring foods and barbecue-y stuff, but it's like the whitest white guy in the world. But I have to walk in the store, wait for him to make it. And I could get it to go, but even then it's still kind of a delay. And I get that sort of feeling of like, why aren't you ready and configured to if not have your own delivery guy or whatever? Because I would spend more money with him. That's the thing. It's not so much that it's like the worst thing in the world to go in and sit down. Who doesn't like to go and sit in a nice restaurant? And he's a great business owner. Love to talk to the man. But you know what, John? If I feel like I just want to grab a little something and I'm working, like you and I are having this call, I haven't eaten. And as I'm talking food, that may be why I'm talking food. I wish I could have a little window open while we're talking and I can make the order and hit go. And some really nice person is going to come to my door with it. And that's not going to happen. So that means he loses all my money.
Yeah.
And maybe some bigger commercial organization or the little pizza and sub shop that you can only eat so many salads when it's iceberg lettuce and 4 crappy tomatoes. You know what I mean? Like there's just an options challenge there in my small town. So yeah, I think touchless and contactless. I think delivery at the curb. I think what's it? BOPIS, buy online, pick up in store.
Yeah.
I think all of these trends in B2C and B2B are going to be super important. Now you still need your HVAC guy to come and change filters for you. There's still lots of on-premise business that's going to happen, but there's not necessarily as much on-premise work resolution. And by the way, one last little detail in this, and I'll take a breath and let you ask another question or two. Here's another one. So I live in northern Massachusetts. The area power company said, hey, your bill's kind of overdue. You got to pay it with this digital payment thing. I'm like, well, that makes sense to me. I always forget to pay my power bill. And so I click on it and I get through it, and it's like, you owe like a lot of money. I was like, oh, I guess I haven't paid for a while. I clicked on the thing and it says to me, well, you can't pay more than $600 through this process. And I'm like, what? Like, why put this barrier here? Like, who's benefiting from that barrier, in this world? So I was grumpy about that. And so I'm just ending with that to say that the big power energy company couldn't do it. So don't feel bad if you're not ready yet.
Yeah, I think sometimes the bigger ones are worse. So one of the things that's a real inhibitor of innovation is people don't like change. And so a lot of times, even if they look at something going, well, that would be good for us, but I don't know, it's hard. But I think that's gone out the window. I mean, I think everybody had to innovate. Everybody had to, be open to change. And so my contention is that if you have some innovation that you're sitting on, now's the time to bring it to the world. And so if you agree with that in any way, shape, or form, what's for you in 2021, the big thing? What do you think the big opportunity out there for 2021 is?
So for different businesses, I might have a different answer. Sure. So let's sift that just a tiny bit.
Sift away.
Because you're the best. Business to consumer, I think you really need to shore up your digital payment options. I think you need to, if you don't have Stripe running, get Stripe running. It's free. Get it running just to say you have one.
Right.
And if you don't know what it is, go look at it. Go watch a YouTube video. What is Stripe? You'll be done. Get Venmo. Why? I don't know. But because if you're a roofer and the guy who you're doing the roof work for says, can I pay you in Venmo? You say, yes, you can. Right? Right. Reduce friction. Yep. Like cash money is not the magic system it used to be. And crypto is not yet the next big thing.
Yeah.
If one weird guy who's on Saturday Night Live can make a joke and sync a currency, it's not a currency yet.
Yeah.
But don't, for gosh sakes, don't be that person that's thinking like that's way 20 years from now. It's now. So Stripe and Venmo, I'll say that for B2C people. I'll say get your payment options in order, because one of the most important fast action things. I just got an email saying, here's how you submit a credit card form. Like, what are we doing? I took one of my kids to physical therapy. I had to fill out 9 pieces of physical paper. Mm-hmm. I was like, what are we doing here too? Mm-hmm. Welcome, Touchless Society. I'm going to write on a clipboard.
And 4 of the pieces of paper had the same information on
Same info. I had to put it on a bunch of times. And I'm just like, none of this has to happen.
Yeah.
None of this has to exist.
Yeah.
So there's that. So then in B2B, get a little bit trickier still. Is there any part of the chain where you can do something that improves your velocity over some competitor? Is there something, can you do something as simple as use your dumb like Microsoft Calendar or your Google Calendar or whatever to remind your buyer of something ahead of it, so that you can send out a good old fashioned manual email? Now, by the way, there's computer systems you could buy that do this all for you and you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
But even if I said an Excel spreadsheet and a calendar, could you do something where you told your guy, it's about time you're going to need to do X? Because guess what? My dentist knows how to do that. My oil change guy knows how to do that. And the fact that we're not helping our customers transform their workplace by saying, we're ready for you. How do you beat the Amazon, right? How do you beat Amazon in a lot of different fields? And how do you beat the Amazon in your B2B world? You do it by having the most personable, most interactive one-to-one connection. So in the first one, I gave real specific technologies. In the second one, I'm not. But in both cases, these are not heavy lifts. I'm not asking you to sell one of your kids. I'm saying, can you go adopt just that much more software? And then you're going to have a lot more happy customers.
So one of the things that I've, for years written about is because I'm a big fan of all the technology, and particularly as not just for technology's sake, but part of what happens, you explained the Amazon. I mean, Amazon trained everybody to what an experience could be like. And so, like it or not, people get used to that. And they're like, well, I'm not putting in my credit card. I did that once. Why do I have to do it again? Right. And so that behavior, of course, we have to, I think we have to adhere to. But at what point do we lose the human touch? Because we can automate, so we can make it so we never have to actually meet a customer. But at what point do we lose sort of the brand promise or the connection because of using too much software?
It's always in how we use the software.
Right.
It's always in how we use the software. And I'll give you an example. You can go to a grocery store, a mid-sized grocery store. I have a mom and pop right by my house. I'll go nowhere else. It's amazing. You can pay by debit card.
I was on vacation last week in the small town in Idaho, or a couple of weeks ago in the small town in Idaho, and I found this tiny grocery. And the woman walked in and said, "Oh, you have produce this week." I thought, now that's a small town grocery.
That's the way it should be. I mean, I always say to people, that's when you buy things like Truvia, you have to get it through Amazon because, your place has sugar and brown sugar.
Yeah.
But the mid-sized grocery stores, they have those self-service lines. Well, who complains about self-service lines is people want a human touch. Have you gone to the humans lately? No. So I've given up on them for Lent, and I've decided I'd rather work with the robots. But what happens is, if you get your best customer service person to manage that collection of self-service house, they make it hum and they make it great. And they fix your problem before you have the problem, where they say, "Let me help you. I know you're going to mess this up." And you're like, "Oh, thank you for helping me." Right. There's nothing better. So every technology is that way.
Yeah.
You could have an automated thing that says you're out of office because you're on vacation. And you know what everyone's going to think when they get that back? I hate you. I hate you. I don't care that you're out of office. I was just asking you a quick question. So if you can make it more fun, that's on you, not the tech. Yeah. If you go to voicemail and your voicemail sounds like everyone's voicemail, another missed opportunity. Mm-hmm. The same guy in town I was telling you about who sells the food and it doesn't have the delivery, his phone number even is Love Taco. And it's, area code Love Taco, LUV Taco. And he even picked a phone number that lets him be personable. Yeah. And so I think that you don't lose a human touch because you buy tech. You lose a human touch when you rely on the tech to act on your behalf. Yeah. When I've got an email, now I can blast email to everyone. That's right. That's the problem.
Yeah, I've long said that, we need to use technology to create a better experience for whoever's using it or to enhance the experience as opposed to replace the experience. And I think that's, another way of saying what you just said, because there are a lot of tools. My eyeglass place I get contacts, I want to be able to make the appointment online. I don't want to call them. I just wanted that, and I wanted to send a reminder. That to me enhances the experience that I'm having. Then I go and I see the doctor, and he does his thing.
Right.
And that, I think, is a great example of, we've got to have that kind of technology to make it easier for people, but not replace the experience. I want to move to something you've been doing for quite some time, and I've always been intrigued with it. I'm a lurker, behind the scenes. I've probably never commented on it. And that's your 3 words project. What have you been doing? 10 years maybe or so? And
since 06.
06, more than 10 years. So the basic idea behind this is every year you sit down and pick 3 words that are going to be kind of your meaningful words for the year. And I won't steal your thunder, but if you want to add anything to what you do, why you do that, what it's meant, and then maybe riff on your 3 words.
Yeah. So I don't know why I thought about doing it. I don't know what made me think about it. I was thinking, probably like everyone does, about New Year's resolutions. And I was like, these have never worked for me. Yeah. And then I'd read this article that said that by January 19th, you give up on your resolutions. And I thought, that's awful. And I thought, that's probably what I do. And so I came up with this idea that if I had 3 guiding words, that at least I could sort of triangulate a little. Now, this is sort of like people who do eyeball math, or people who have these sort of rules of thumb that they use, but with their cut thumb or something. They're not good. But my measurement was, if I had 3 words that I could use to triangulate, meaning each word has to mean something. It can't be like finish the book. The is a useless word. Right. So the words each have to have their kind of, energy and weight. And so I come up with 3 words. So 2006 was ask, do, and share. Yeah. So I ask people questions a lot. Hey, how'd that thing work that you were doing? Can you show me a little bit about that? And then I'd learn about something and I would share it with people through my blog at the time and through my newsletter and things. And people were like, man, this guy's got a lot of good information. He keeps just putting it right out there for me. I was asking, I was trying it out, and I was sharing. I had a great year, 2006. Other years, I picked a different 3 words kind of set up. And unfortunately, it always bit my butt. If I used a word that was too clever, it bit my butt. If I tried to, sometimes I do this thing where I mush a word together and it's totally not a real word. That one always fails. Why 3 words and not 2 words? I don't know. Why not 1 word? Everyone I say who has 1 word, I say, do you remember your word past March? And they always don't. My 3 words for 2021 were showrunner, which was to remind myself that I'm going to treat everything like it's a show and that it's my responsibility, that the entire look, feel, energy, experience design, and everything like that about my projects would be wrapped up the way a show would be wrapped up. It would be, I know what's going to happen. I need these sets to look like this. I need these caterers to come, because if they don't come, then everybody gets mad. You know what I mean? All the operational and creative in one thing, showrunner. The other one I had was options, which is to keep reminding myself that leadership is options management. And what I mean is leadership is looking at, you've got too many options in front of a team and you go, oh my gosh, guys, we only have to worry about 3 things right here. You delete all those options. You go, here you go, there's the options. Or the team says to me, boss, I'm stuck. I don't know what's going on here. Let me give you a couple options to find your way out of this. Is that going to work okay for you? I'll give you 2. And they go, oh, this is great. Thanks for giving us these options. So options. The third was monk, which is so simple. I want to live a little more like a monk. I want to throw even more things out. I sold my car. You know what? When you get rid of a car and you like suddenly have to look at the world that way, you go, huh, well, that's interesting. I didn't realize how much I was getting in it for about nothing, just to go drive around. And I thought, it's a 2010 Camaro. Like, it's a 426 horsepower engine. How am I doing for the environment with this beast? And I didn't want to replace it with a Prius. I replaced it with a nothing. And, I borrow a car every now and again when I need one. And that was monk.
Do a little extra walking.
Yeah, I do a little extra walking. Still could use some even more, but it's a biggie.
So I'm going to invite you guys, if you have a question, or just, again, don't be shy. If you just want to say hi to Chris because you've been a longtime fan or follower, I'm going to
refute me. Argue me. I'll fight you.
I like that. And but I'm going to ask you one more question while you're getting your questions queued up. And if those of you that are too shy, you just want to put it in chat, I'll ask Chris for you. But here's my last question. Hey, Bobby. My last question for you, Chris, is tell us a little bit about the backpack, the book.
Backpack, the book. So it came from sort of the same reason I named the show The Backpack Show, was that 2020 showed us one thing for sure, was that, shifting sands, right? Like, everything's crazy. There's no foundation. You can't build if the sands are shifting, right? Like, you can't build a house if it might actually start tilting towards Sawyer there. So you gotta just think, well, I guess I gotta be a little more mobile. So a backpack is an analogy for a smallish thing that you can put some of what you need in it. And you're gonna have to try to succeed with that. And what it reminds us of, kind of symbolically, is can't take everything. Everything can't be the priority. You could shift it out if you want. You could bring back to your home base and put new things in the backpack as missions change. But it reminds us to kind of lock down. And it also means that everyone's backpack's different. It's so fun to me to go to a conference and say, what's in your bag? I would love to look at people's bags. Chris Penn's bag is amazing. It's full of weapons and armament and stuff like that. Other people, it could be like 5 batteries. Yes, right. Some people have the mics, the clickers, like a drug full of batteries.
Yeah.
And in mine, you might even find comic books or something, because I'm not a full grown up. So the thing about that part of it is that we have to bring us to the situation as well. So if the book actually, leaves my typewriter and comes to your desk, that's what the premise is. And the other is just to remind people that we're all a little bit dented as well. We all have our scars and our bumps and our whatever, and we can still run though. We're still fine. We don't have to be flawless.
Yeah, I like the idea too, because when you're anybody who's done any real backpacking, I mean, you're down to the point where you're like, this is not essential. This weighs 4 ounces. I'm not taking it, and so I think it's really the idea of really stripping it down too.
You're spot on, because I was a Boy Scout, and the first time we climbed, the biggest mountain we ever climbed was Katahdin, which is exactly a mile. But it's like 6 feet shy of a mile, so they put a 6 feet pile of rocks on the top, and it was exactly a mile. And boy, oh boy, I carried the kitchen sink. And everybody started looking at my pack. What did you bring this for? I looked like I was going to get stranded out there for a year.
This espresso maker did not need to come with you.
Exactly. And they're like, you're a dork. And I felt like a dork carrying that up and down that hill. And the next time I travel, I was too lightweight. So, you know, you got to learn. So like you said, it's a biggie.
All right, Bobby, you can unmute there and ask Chris your question. And a couple of you get queued up. Whoever wants to go next, raise your hand or just jump in. All right, go, Bobby. You forgot to mute, Bobby. Do I need the t-shirt that says you're muted? You're muted. There you are.
Okay, can you read lips?
I can pretend.
No, I don't really have a question for you. Actually, I probably have a whole page of questions, but I can save that for later. I just wanted to say hi and tell you I've been following you since like 2008.
Wow.
2009, pre-beard, pre-9 books, all of that. Yeah. From not your beginnings, but pretty much, yeah.
When people started to see me around, I guess.